Hello there guys, and welcome back to a brand new Star Wars Hunters Hunter concept. In today's Hunter concept, I will finally be doing one for a Clone Trooper Hunter, which is something I've been meaning to do for quite some time now. As always, I'll be going into some story details that I think could work for this clone character, before moving on to the abilities and then wrapping it up with all of the potential skins, which for Clone Troopers is a lot. By the time the game takes place, so a few years after Return of the Jedi, Captain Rex and any other surviving clone troopers will all be pretty old, so I was thinking that this clone trooper would actually be a fairly normal adult age at this point, due to them still being a young clone cadet during the time of Revenge of the Sith and even the Bad Batch. Due to the timeline and accelerated aging of clone troopers, this would then put this clone at the age of 50 something, but I still think he would kick ass in the arena. A cool story detail that I think would also work well is if this clone hated Sentinel, as stormtroopers essentially took away a clone's jobs, which is something this particular clone never got to experience. This could also mean that some of the voice lines from this clone could go on about how he's glad the Empire has fallen, which is something Zayn is no doubt a fan of. As for what class this clone would be, well, I think he would either be a damage or a tank class, but I'm leaning more towards tank due to the abilities that I've come up with for him. As for his primary weapon, there's quite a few you could use thanks to the Clone Wars show and Battlefront 2, but I'm thinking of sticking with the standard DC-15 for this clone's weapon. Moving on to the abilities now, they are all very much inspired by Star Wars Battlefront 2, as I honestly didn't know what the clone could have, and there are some great abilities in Battlefront 2 that I think they could utilise. So the first ability that I was thinking of is a shock grenade that, when it explodes, leaves a small electrical field on the ground for a small amount of time. Whenever anyone steps into that field, they'll be slowed down and take sting damage. The second ability would be a combat shield for his gun. Obviously Sentinel has this for the E-Web, but I think it would be good to have for the clone as well, and also a bit ironic given that he hates Sentinel. The third ability is one that will heal him up for a short duration of time. It's essentially just Toughen Up from Star Wars Battlefront 2, so if you've played that game then you'll know exactly how that works. What I quite like about this concept is the fact that it takes an ability from 3 of the 4 classes in Battlefront 2. The shock grenade is a specialist ability, the combat shield is a heavy ability, and the healing one is an ability for the assault class. This means that you're probably thinking that the ultimate is an ability from the officer class, but it's actually from the heavy again. Given that this clone would be either a damage or tank class, I think it would be cool if the ultimate ability meant that the clone trooper pulled out a Z6 rotary cannon and just blasted everyone for a short period of time. This again adds to the irony of the clone hating Sentinel, yet having some similar abilities. Wrapping it up with the skins then, I think you all know that there are just so many that could be used. Firstly, the clone army has a ton of different clone legions, like the 501st, 212th, 327th, Wolfpack and so much more, but then you have the different designs depending on the role, which is something that Battlefront 2 really introduced, and then you have to factor in all of the different types of armour, like Phase 1, Phase 2, Flame Trooper, Cold Assault, Clone Commando and so much more. As a huge clone fan, I could sit here all day talking about the different types of clone troopers and the different legions, but I think it's best that I leave it here as I think you should get the picture by now. There are just so many options that they could use for skins if they were to add a clone trooper hunter, so I would absolutely love to see that. I guess another question that you could think about is who would actually voice this clone. Personally, I would love to have Tamora Morrison back as the clone voice in video games, but given the art style, I wouldn't be surprised if D. Bradley Baker voiced him instead, which of course is a great option as well. So guys, that is my concept for a clone trooper hunter for Star Wars Hunters. Be sure to let me know what you think of it in the comments below, and let me know what concept you'd like to see next. That is it from me today though, thank you all very much for watching, and may the force be with you always.